Welcome to Sandbag Sunday. Cheers. We've had a biblical amount of rain just recently. So much so that there was a point actually yesterday. It's Thursday at the point of filming. There was a point yesterday where we had sleet and I could hear it come in from that way, and I was out in it and I couldn't get away, and I had my brolly and I just stood next to a house, and the whole for about 10 minutes it was just a biblical amount of hail that rained down, and I was concerned about the solar panels, whether they would be damaged anyway, and they weren't, which was quite useful and thankful in that respect. And I wonder how much punishment those solar panels can take. But the well deck absolutely covered in ice, to the point where it wasn't going to come over the lip between the well deck and the door, but it wasn't far off it. It didn't half rain, did hail, rain, and the boat has withstood. It's I think a good test of its capability as far as there's no leaks, and you can argue there shouldn't be any leaks, and I get it, and there aren't any. And also the weather's changing, so how much condensation have I had to deal with now? Because I'm not very good with the fire yet, there are days when with the fire that I can get it blasting, and then I close that door and it's toasty in the cabin, it's toasty in the saloon and in the dinette area, this area, toasty warm, and then that part of the boat gets particularly cold. So I tend to leave that door open, which then allows a flow, less so at the bedroom end, but it allows a flow of heat to wander across the boat, and of course that causes condensation on the windows. And I wipe the windows down certainly in the mornings, and probably before I go to bed, because of that change in temperature, and that kind of keeps condensation at bay. But I've also been sticking the bungs in, and that keeps condensation at bay because the condensation can't get there. I don't know what effect that's going to have long term on the boat, but I'm managing in stuff to the best of my ability. I think, you know, on a day-to-day basis, I spend a proportion of my time, a good hour in the morning, doing boaty type chores, and they will be wiping the boat down from whatever, if it's been raining, if it's been you know, the dew from the morning or whatever it is. I wipe the boat down, I clean the windows, and there's that little sill in the windows that I make sure are clean and water free. Well, that's their water catchment sills really, and they do their job well. And if I keep on top of it, then there's less things to do in the long term. And on midweek I do my weekly chores, which is getting inside the engine bay and making sure everything's tickety-boo, and you know, things like that, just keeping on top of stuff. And I'm hoping the long-term effect of that will be that the boat kind of looks after itself a little easier, and I'm able to spot when something's going wrong and address those issues pretty much as soon as I can. So that's kind of boaty type of update. Channel update. Now, last week Feed Me Friday was about cooking a pork chop. It wasn't about that per se. I mean, I did cook a whole nice meal with chips, with mixed veg, with pork chops and gravy, and a lot of you were surprised that, I don't know, that I left the grill door open, And if I close the grill door, gas goes off. But what I have done is, through your comments, is re-evaluated what I do, and I can close it halfway at a hatch. It kind of goes, I don't know, 3/4 of the way closed. But I kind of think that that is due to allow more movement in the galley area, more than trying to keep plates warm and things like that. But all that stuff that you commented on, or some of you commented on, I did in take 2. I did warm the plate, I did get the chips kind of warmer, and then I ran out of food because the lighting was crap. Which brings me on to the air fryer. Lots of people say, well, why don't you get an air fryer? Why don't I? So let's have a think about that. I've got my tape measure out, and I think what I need to do with regards to the air fryer is put life into perspective a little bit, and that is so that you understand how big this galley is. Now I think it's suitable. Of course I'm going to say that because it's my galley, but I'm also mindful that it does take a little bit of perspective. If we were to understand how big this galley actually is, those 2 end cupboards there, well, this one is for hot water tank, the calorifier and all that gubbins, and that one opposite, well, that's for the electricity and the lithium battery and all that electrical stuff which I don't understand. Other than it gives me how much water I've got, how much fuel I've got, and how much power I'm getting into the battery by solar, which the sun's out at the moment and I'm getting some, not much. It's a bit low and it's got the trees and anyway, I'm getting some. So my galley starts at this point here and goes forward, and it goes forward by a matter of inches. That's a 600mm unit, that's a 600mm unit. This here, the working point, 600mm unit, that's a 600mm unit, and so is that. But this unit here is 520mm, and the complete length of the galley is 7 foot 9 inches. That's my only available space, and in there I have a fridge, I have a freezer, I have a set of drawers where I keep crockery and knives and forks and all that stuff, washing machine, and under the sink stuff, hob, odds and ends. Okay, so the air fryer. I've had a look on the A to Z website, and I'm beginning to understand power better, and how much power I need and how much power I use, and there's a difference between the two. I want to use as little power as I possibly can, and actually when I converted watts to amps, those air fryers are actually quite good. The 1500 watt air fryer is equivalent to 6 amps. Now that's, if that's 1500 watts per hour, or if that's 1500 watts when you turn it on, I think that's its maximum range, so it's 6 amp hours it's using. I need to do a bit more research on that, and if you could let me know, those of you that have got air fryers, that would be most helpful. And I appreciate it will peak and trough as the thing heats up and warms and all that sort of stuff. I'm warming to the idea of the air fryer. Now, the one thing I wanted to understand was, 1, how much power it uses, and 2, how big it is. So, with my trusty pad on the correct page, I'm going to do a bit of homework and with you. So this is the Instant Pot Pro electric multifunctional cooker, pressure cooker, slow cooker, rice cooker, steamer, saute, sterilizer. This isn't an air fryer, but it kind of does what I want it to do. And this is the Instant Pot Pro. Okay, and it's the 5.7 litre. It does pretty much what I want it to do, and it's 1,200 watts, which is equivalent 1,200 push play calculate, which is about 5 amps, 5.2 amps, which is not an awful lot, to be honest. I'm quite content with that amount of electricity being used out the battery. So let's now discuss air fryer, the Ninja Foodie, which is another one that everybody kind of states, get yourself a Ninja. So this is a Max multi-cooker, 9-in-1, 7.5 litre electric pressure cooker, air cooker. Since when did I become a Lancastrian cooker and booker? No, electric pressure cooker and air fryer, brushed steel and black. So it's its widest, it's 16.5 centimetres in width. 16.5, it says 16.5 centimetres, 15 centimetres deep and 13.8 centimetres in height. Really? Really? Come on, it's got to be bigger than that. Further down, which is why you need on this particular website to check everything, it's 38 depth, width and height, and there's no guarantee that all those measurements are the same as what they were before, so I've got to pick the biggest one because I don't know what it is. So it's 42. That's quite big, actually. That is the width of my chopping board. So that's the chopping board in the corner just there. That's almost like having a chopping board stuck there in the corner of that workspace that I now no longer can use as a workspace because I've got a foodie machine, Ninja thing sat there. That's quite a big beast, actually. Now I wonder if I can get a smaller version. So now the Foodie Max 7-in-1 is a 7.5 litre electric pressure cooker and air fryer in black and grey, but is 1,760 watts. Okay, let's put that into my machine. Calculate 7 amps. So what? 7.5 amps it says here. Okay, so it's more expensive as far as electrical things are being used. Okay, it's smaller, so there's a compromise on power versus size on there, even though it does say it's only 13 centimeters in depth, 15 in width and 13 in height, nearly 14 in height. 14 centimeters again, not even a hand height. Height is 35, width is 39. It still takes up a proportion of the corner of that kitchen unit. So can I put it anywhere else? No is the answer. People said to me, it's not one person said to me, I can remember talking about, during the boat build, where I was going to put my pots and pans. They said, oh, it's not an ornament, I know, it's just where I put my pots and pans. But I think the same point is relevant with the Ninja Foodie. It will end up being an ornament because I don't necessarily use it every day and won't use it every day because I don't do that style of cooking. So whilst I now think that it's worth money, it's worth its amount of power it uses, because you can get some pretty low powered ones, I think it's very versatile in what it does and will aid me in doing everything I need to do and act almost like another oven. I could use that as an oven, or I could use that as a grill, and I could use that as an oven or a grill. So I kind of got both things, and I think that's a good thing. And if I didn't have an awful lot of power, turn the engine on. If I buy something, I don't want it to be an ornament. Through the comments section, there's a fella that spoke to me about something called a ridge monkey. Now, some ducks out there, look. The ridge monkey is something that fishermen use, and I don't think fishermen are daft. They have an awful lot of kit. They're all sat there. I've seen some people out there in the fishing world sat out there with almost like their own scaffolding, with all their gear all around them. They've got their floats and bait and a seat and a hood that goes over the top, I suspect, if it rains, and they've got loads of rods and stuff. Anyway, I think there's a lot of crossover between fishermen, fishing people that fish, and boaters. That there are some good products on the fishing market, and I have had a look at this. The Connect Combi and Steamer set. Now basically this is a flat bottom frying pan, and the fishing people, they cook these off a small hob, you know, a little gas stove. So it must conduct heat going into that pan quite quickly. Sleek gunmetal grey, okay. Rigid exterior for even heat transfer, detachable hinge system. So it's almost like a griddle pan, but it's also a steamer, and it can run off a small hob. Can it cook chips? I don't know, but if that can cook, let's say, steam stuff, and it can cook meat because the picture says it can, then I can do the chips in here in the oven. Through your knowledge that you pass on to me, I think I can manage some of this stuff without an air fryer and without this gadget, which, you know, for 50 quid, well, it's actually 41 pounds, that's probably worth a punt. I don't want this Ninja Foodie thing to become an ornament. I need to be able to use it. And I don't think I do enough cooking for me to warrant that at this moment in time. I don't know. Anyway, here endeth the chat on the foodie thing, and it's just to let you know that I do actually listen, read, take note of all the comments. But I do like that Connect Combi steamer set. Looks to be quite good, doesn't it? So I kind of think it's that, basically, if you can see that. I think that looks good. It steams, it grills, it does all sorts of stuff, and I can put it away in one of the drawers. That doing Feed Me Friday and Sandbagging Sunday and all that sort of stuff hasn't gone as well as I wanted it to, as I hoped it might do. Now I think there's a lot of you that like all three and just tune in because you're wanting to support me, or you like the channel, or whatever it is you do, and I'm very grateful for that to happen. But it's about reward versus effort, and whilst I make 1 or 2 subscribers, I might make 2 or 3 and then I'll lose 5 or 6, and then when the Wednesday's vlog comes in I gain 1 or 2, and then they watch a Friday or a Sunday and then I'll lose a load. So it kind of took an awful lot of effort to produce that for no reward. So I apologise for those of you that like Sandbag Sundays, and I apologise for you those who have supported me through that and the Feed Me Friday. I think there's a place for it, and I just need to work out the diversification of the different elements of the channel. Kind of didn't work, or maybe it's the wrong time, or maybe I'm not a strong enough brand, a strong enough channel to be able to diversify at that point. I get it. So I want to concentrate more on Wednesday when I eventually get round to Patreon, and I'm mindful of Patreon. I don't think at this time Patreon is the right thing for me to do. I think everybody's struggling for money, and to ask you to subscribe to a Patreon channel and dish out a few quid here and there maybe isn't the right time. I don't know. But anyway, those are the sort of things that I would put on for Patreons, you know, particularly Sandbag Sunday, where I can discuss lots of stuff for those people that are subscribed to that, and of course you're paying me for that service, which I'll be, you know, I think you deserve something back for that. So I'll be keeping certainly Sandbag Sundays for that, although I will produce a few later on this channel, but not in the regular spot that I had before. You get the point, I hope. So thank you for those of you that have joined because of Sandbag Sundays. It will continue, but in the odd occasion. Thank you for those of you that have supported me as hardcore subscribers. I'm sorry it didn't kind of work out, and Feed Me Fridays was all about me just cooking basic food as a bloke on a boat, not meant to be a cooking channel in any way, shape or form, and just as a bit of fun really. But I kind of lost more subscribers from that than I gained. You know, it's a bit downhearted really, even though the comments were very positive. Until Wednesday. Thanks for watching, thanks for liking, thanks for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, give it a go, because well, there won't be any feeding and sandbagging. It will just be boaty from now on, for a while anyway. Anyway, ciao Papa.